Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 906A, and today's date is February 29th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Economy is in Freefall. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. We're going to head out to Greece this morning, and the Greek vice president, he's saying that the people, they're at their limit at this point in time. He's saying that the agreement we signed is our limit. We can't go any further. We cannot have additional cuts in pension or additional measures. The people cannot take much more of this because they realize what's happening right now. People are starting to protest, starting to riot, and if they continue down this path, they're going to have basically a coup on their hand where the people are not going to be able to take this anymore, and they might overthrow the government. And they're very worried about this. We see out in Europe, the European sovereign debt crisis, it could implode the Eurozone. And this is coming from the Bank of England Governor, Mervyn King. And he's saying that Europe's monetary union, it has created a very dangerous cocktail of conflicts between the EU elites and the sovereign states. And with this incredible debt and everything else imploding, this whole thing might just completely fall apart. And they have mass unemployment. There's no end to the debt problem. And economic growth is completely out the window. And Europe is suffering. They're in negative interest rates. And it's getting worse and worse each and every day. Now, this looks very, very similar to 1929 when Europe was completely decimated. Everything was completely falling apart. And the U.S., there was nothing wrong. The stock market was reaching all-time new highs. Don't look at the bread lines. Don't look at the soup lines. Don't look at all these people out of work, but look at the stock market. Everything is fine. It seems exactly the same here today, where the U.S. is continually pushing the illusion that everything is fine. But we're looking at layoffs that are continuing, retail that is contracting, GDP that has to be revised 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to make the numbers look good, unemployment numbers which are completely manipulated, and we are continually seeing more and more layoffs. Cisco Corp, 1,200 people. Penn State University, 1,100 people. Chicago State University, 900 people. Zenefits, 250. Deere's Factories in Iowa, 100. American Coal Company, 101 layoffs. Sears is having major, major problems. They're going bankrupt. I don't even know if we're going to see Sears exist anymore. But 250 people in their administrative office, they're being laid off. The tech bubble has completely burst. It is spreading rapidly, and we discussed this many times in other reports. We're seeing layoffs in VMware, Yahoo, American Express, Sprint, Autodesk, NetApp, BlackBerry, and many others. And we're talking about thousands upon thousands of people. And all these layoffs and all these companies are from this year. From January to the end of February, all of these tech layoffs are right now. Things are rapidly falling apart here in the United States. But of course, according to the government, the central bankers, everything is fine. Now, the pending home sales report came out, and it was a complete shock to economists. The Econo Day consensus, their estimate for existing home sales was a rise of 0.5%. Instead, it completely fell apart by 2.5%. How could this be possible? We don't have an explanation for this. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it wasn't the weather. So they're starting to come up with all these different excuses, except for the main one. There's a problem with the economy. There's a problem with people getting jobs. There's a problem with people holding on to full-time jobs because there are none out there. People aren't making the same income. People have part-time jobs. People don't have the discretionary funds. People do not have the savings to go ahead and purchase a home. Instead, they're blaming it on the weather. They're blaming it on it's not the right time of year. They're blaming it on everything they can possibly think of. But this is the biggest drop since December of 2013. This is the 9th monthly miss in a row. And of course, my friend Larry Yun from the National Association of Realtors, he's saying that the pending homes is basically absent of first-time buyers. Prices are too high now. That's the problem. Prices are way too high, and they're just all out of the market. Plus, cash buyers and investors, they seem to be buying up the houses, and they're not allowing the first-time buyers to come in and purchase them. Well, I hate to say this, but the first-time buyers, those coming out of college, those who can't find a full-time, high-paying job, they're not buying houses. They have their student loan debts. They can't even save their money. They can't even save enough to purchase a home. And yeah, the cash buyers and investors are coming in because this is how this bubble was created. Hedge funds, investment companies, purchasing thousands and thousands of homes, holding on to them, keeping them off the market. Rent them if you can, otherwise just hold them. Cash buyers from foreign countries trying to park their cash, keeping it out of the stock market. And we can see right now in the Northeast, it declined by 3.2%. The Midwest, it fell by 4.9%. We see in the South, it increased by a measly 0.3%, but what we're seeing right now in the West, it decreased by 4.5%. So the housing market is being hit hard. We know new construction is down. We know pending home sales are down. Construction spending is down. And mortgage applications are flatline. This tells you where we're headed. Actually, if you look at the graph of house sales, it has gone nowhere whatsoever. This entire market is a central bank market which they're continually feeding and blowing up the bubble. The American people are on the sidelines, not even involved in this. The Baltic Dry Index is around 329, moved up about 2 points or so. So it's staying at the low 300s at this point, not really moving anywhere. Even though it's continually inching up, it really hasn't gone anywhere. And this does not look good for the economy. We see the Chicago PMI. It collapsed in February to 47.6, below the lowest estimate from economists. And the entire report, it is a complete disaster. New orders tumbled, production sharply lower, employment contraction for the 5th month in a row. It's the lowest since March of 2009. And what's even worse is the Dallas Fed. They've missed expectations for the 17th month in a row of the last 20. They printed at negative 31.9. This does not look good. New orders, capacity utilization, inventories, prices paid, prices received, wages, employment, hours worked, all declining. It is a complete nightmare. And what's really interesting about this is the Dallas Fed is out there is that saying that we cannot figure out why it is so low right now. Other than we are indirectly impacted by the downturn in energy, we are 4 months into the fiscal year and are behind 21% compared with last year on incoming orders, and the last fiscal year was down a year. Well, maybe because the economy is a complete illusion. Maybe because people really can't find jobs. Maybe the whole entire system is crumbling apart. That's why you can't explain it, because you don't want to go in that direction. But when we look at this, we see the Dallas Fed is saying we might be already in a recession at this point. And this is what we're seeing. The economy right now, it's completely in freefall. They're saying that everything is down. Chemical manufacturing. They're saying that they lost about 40% of their volume. I mean, listen to what they're saying here. Our backlog has declined 50% less than the same time last year. We are experiencing a severe downturn in our business as the oil and gas exploration and production segment has significantly reduced their capital budgets for 2016 based on declines in the WTI price. Customers are becoming more cautious about investing in expansion than they were this time a year ago. They're seeing the entire system fall apart. And it's not just about energy. It's about every sector of the U.S. where it's completely falling apart. And it's falling apart rapidly. And it's accelerating. And it's going to speed up as we go throughout this year. And we know there are major problems because Obama is out there right now. And he's trying to convince the skeptical public that the stimulus that was done throughout his whole entire 2 terms, it sparked the economic recovery. And they're trying to push this idea that everything that they did made the economy the way it is today, a complete and utter recovery. He's saying, look at the unemployment numbers. They're at 4.9%. See? Recovered. Look at the stock market. Completely recovered. Look at the auto industry. Completely recovered. Look at the housing market. Well, just look at the foreclosure section. We've reduced the number of foreclosures. Well, the Fed kind of bought up all the toxic real estate, but don't look at that. Just look at the foreclosures. We reduced them with our programs. It didn't really help the people. We just kept the foreclosures off the book. So really, when we look at this, we look at the auto industry, which is a subprime disaster waiting to happen. It's a complete bubble. We look at the unemployment numbers, which is completely manipulated. And we look at the stock market, which has been inflated and has been fluctuating. And this tells me at this point that they're trying so hard, and I know it's an election year. I know they're trying to make their party look fantastic, and I don't really care about Republican, Democrat. You know what I want? I want someone who's going to be in there supporting the American people. Not the central bankers, not corporations, not foreign governments, but the people here in the United States. That's all I want. And they abide by the Constitution. And they need to get rid of the central bank, because that's the root of all these problems. But what we're seeing right now is them making this plea to the American people that, please believe us, the economy has recovered. And this tells us there are major problems in the economy, because you don't have to push this hard to make people believe you. If the economy is truly well, you would see expansion in retail. You would see people very comfortable. They would have discretionary funds. They'd go out and spend. The housing market would increase on its own. People would go out and take out mortgages. The mortgage departments in banks would expand, not contract like they are. People would feel good. They would know that everything is fine. They feel secure in their jobs. But we're seeing the actual opposite, and the White House has to continually come out and tell us and basically retell us over and over that everything is fine. This gives us a signal right now that things are completely falling apart. And like I said, we are rapidly falling apart as we move throughout this year. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse until they can't explain it anymore. And this is why everyone needs to be prepared. You need your food, you need your medical supplies, you need a weapon, you need cash on hand, gold and silver, you need toiletries, you need batteries, water filtration systems to make sure that you are prepared. You don't want to be out there when everyone is running around trying to figure out what to do. If you haven't started, you can go to lifereliance.com. They have bug out bags, seeds, water filtration systems. You can customize your order. But whatever you're doing, just do it. Make sure you are prepared and ready to go. Because we see things occurring right now. The economy is getting worse. And as the economy continually falls apart, we're going to see the central bankers, the U.S. government, push their message harder and harder that everything is fine. And this will tell you that things are not fine. They did this back in 2008, where they're continually telling us that everything was fine, it was contained, and this is what we're starting to hear again. And as you hear this message over and over from the government, and you continually hear it, you know we have major problems coming. And you know what that is. It is the collapse of the entire system. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.